To save humanity, you must leave behind everything that you love, your family, your home, and even the world that you know. This is the sacrifice at the core of Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, a film that blends the vastness of space with the intimacy of human emotion. Interstellar came out in 2014, believe it or not, and it completely flew under my radar. Back then, the only movies that I cared about were superhero films, your Marvel and DC blockbusters. And if it didn't have capes, costumes, or epic CGI battles, I probably wasn't paying attention. It wasn't until 2019 when I went down a rabbit hole searching to films directed by the genius behind the Dark Knight trilogy, Christopher Nolan, that I stumbled across Interstellar. And wow, I had no idea what I was about to experience. From the very first watch, it completely shifted how I looked at storytelling, science fiction, and even filmmaking itself. At the time, I was already deeply fascinated about space travel and the idea of other universes. So when I read the premise, astronaut traveling through a wormhole to save humanity, it instantly grabbed me. I had no idea that what I was about to watch would not only feed my curiosity about the cosmos, but also touch my soul in ways I wasn't prepared for. The movie to me felt like a journey through love, time, and survival, set against the backdrop of one of the most scientifically accurate depictions of space travel ever put to screen. This isn't just a movie review for me, it's one, if not my favorite movies of all time, and I just had to talk about it. Interstellar isn't only a visual masterpiece, it is a story that challenges how we see love, time, and our place in the universe. So in this episode, I'll be breaking down its plot, exploring the science, behind the theory of relativity, and also diving into one of the most haunting scenes I've seen in cinematic history, Miller's Planet, where every tick on the clock means time slipping away on Earth. This isn't just a movie review, it is my exploration of why Interstellar continues to resonate so deeply with me and with so many others. Interstellar begins in a near-future Earth, where the planet is slowly dying. Dust storms are sweeping across the land, crops are failing one by one, and humanity is struggling to survive. Cooper, played by Matthew McConaughey, was once a NASA pilot and engineer. He is now a farmer raising 2 children. His daughter Murph, played by Mackenzie Foy, and his son Tom, played by Timothy Chalamet, live together in this harsh environment with their uncle Donald, played by John Lithgow. Murph is a curious and intelligent teen. She starts noticing something strange in her room, patterns forming in dust that settle on her floor. At first, she believes it's a work of a ghost, something supernatural trying to communicate with her. Cooper, skeptical but intrigued, examines the patterns more closely. He realizes what Murph calls a ghost is something far more profound, a gravitational anomaly. The dust isn't random. It's falling in a very specific way, creating a series of lines that resemble Morse code. When decoded, these lines turn out to be coordinates. Following these coordinates, Cooper drives Murph to a location that they point to, eventually arriving at a heavily guarded facility. To their shock, it's not a military base or an abandoned building. It's NASA, operating in secret. The world believes NASA no longer exists, but here, the last remnants of human space program are working on a plan to save the species. NASA is working in secret because in the film's dystopian near future, society has abandoned the dream of space travel and only cares about immediate survival. People see space travel as a waste of resources. There's no support for spending huge amounts of money on rockets when people are starving. This makes their mission politically and publicly dangerous to reveal. And so, the discovery sets everything into motion, both for humanity's survival and Cooper's personal journey. Dr. Brand, played by Michael Caine, explains to Cooper that NASA has been developing 2 contingency plans to save mankind. Plan A centers on solving an unsolved equation, how to harness gravity to launch massive space stations into orbit, carrying Earth's population to safety. To crack this, Brand needs crucial quantum data from inside a black hole, something no one has been able to obtain. Plan B, on the other hand, is far less hopeful for those on Earth. It involves sending a spacecraft loaded with thousands of cryogenically frozen embryos to a potentially habitable planet. These embryos would be used to start a new human colony, ensuring the survival of the species, even if everyone currently alive on Earth perishes. This revelation sets the film's central tension, the moral and emotional weight of sacrificing the present generation, ensuring the future for humanity. For Cooper, the mission is no longer just about exploration. It's a race against time to save his children and the world they live in. After leaving Earth behind, Cooper and the crew, consisting of Bran, played by Anne Hathaway, Ramlee, played by David Gassie, and Doyle, played by Wes Bentley. They're also traveling with two robots, Tars, voiced by Bill Ivan, and Case, voiced by Josh Stewart. They are aboard the Endurance shuttle to enter a wormhole near Saturn. The wormhole is a mysterious tunnel that bends space and time, offering a shortcut to distant galaxies. The moment marks humanity's leap of faith, a desperate bid for survival beyond the stars. The wormhole near Saturn wasn't just something humanity created. It just appeared there about 48 years before the events of the movie. They suspect that it was placed by an advanced human civilization who exists in a higher dimension. Its purpose is to give humanity a chance to escape Earth's dying environment and to find a new habitable planet in another galaxy. And so, it then became the core of NASA's Lazarus mission, which sent 12 scientists through it to scout for possible new worlds. Crossing through a wormhole isn't like flying into a tunnel. It's like falling into a sphere. Space bending and folding in ways our mind can barely comprehend. The wormhole releases them into a brand new galaxy, vast and alien. Their first destination is Miller's planet, a world orbiting dangerously close to Gargantua, which is a massive spinning black hole. They chose this planet because it is the closest planet to their current position after exiting the wormhole, meaning it requires the least fuel and time to reach. However, the proximity to Gargantua creates a powerful gravitational field, causing extreme time dilation, meaning time moves much slower on the planet compared to Earth. Every hour spent on Miller's planet equates to 7 years back home on Earth. The decision is fraught with risk, but it is a gamble they must take. Cooper, Bran, Doyle, and Tars go down to Miller's planet because it is the closest viable option, with the beacon from Dr. Miller still transmitting, and they need to check the data firsthand. Ramlee stays aboard the Endurance, where Case keeps him company so that they can, number 1, continue to study the black hole. Number 2, avoid wasting fuel and risking everyone on a high-gravity mission. Number 3, provide a safe fallback if something goes wrong on the surface. And it's also a way to divide the mission. Some gather planetary data, others deepen their understanding of Gargantua's properties, which could help with future decisions and survival. When they reach Miller's planet, it is eerily calm. A shallow ocean stretching as far as the eye can see. In the distance, they think they are seeing mountains, but they are wrong. Those towering shapes are massive waves, hundreds of feet in the air, silently creeping towards them. The tension is heightened by Hans Zimmer's haunting score, where a ticking sound weaves through the music, almost like a metronome counting down the precise time slipping away. The ticking isn't just a soundtrack element, it becomes a character in of itself, narrating the urgency and dread hanging over the crew's head. Each tick in the soundtrack on Miller's planet represents 1 day passing on Earth. Bran rushes out to collect the data from Dr. Miller. Her wrecked lander landed half submerged and the beacon still transmitting. She wades through the water, desperate to retrieve the data, but struggles to reach it. Dr. Miller is nowhere in sight, her presence lost in the vast, desolate world. Cooper, watching the approaching wave grow larger and larger, yells out to her to get back into the Ranger. The urgency in his voice turns into panic. He sends Tars to pull her out, and the machine slices through the water to grab her. But in the chaos, Doyle is caught in the wave's surge. The walls of water swallow him whole, and he's gone in an instant. There's no saving him. Tars and Bran make it back to the Ranger, tension already crackling between her and Cooper. He's furious that she wasted precious minutes on the surface, costing them not just Doyle's life, but decades of time back on Earth. She fires back, defending her decision, the grief and frustration spilling over. Then, The second wave comes in. It's already on top of them. Cooper fights to get the Ranger started, water cascading off its hull. The engine roars back to life just in time, and they launch into the sky, narrowly outrunning the monster wave below them, trying to return back to the Endurance. As they dock, they are met with Romilly and Case, but their reunion isn't what they expected. Romilly's face tells a story before he even speaks. Deep lines, grey hair, a man aged by years of isolation and waiting. The passage of time written on him, heavier than any words could express. When Cooper asks how much time has passed since he left, the robot Case delivers a devastating answer. 23 years, 7 months, and 8 days. Shaken by the news of 23 years lost, Cooper rushes to the ship's communication console, desperate for any sign from home. He commands the computer to play all the messages from the beginning, each one a snapshot of a life he missed. One by one, the faces of his children appear on screen, growing older with every message. As Cooper watches the messages, he first sees his son Tom speaking. The years flash by. Birthdays, milestones, ordinary moments, his grandson being born, all captured in digital fragments. Then comes the heartbreaking news. Tom tells Cooper that their grandpa has passed away. After countless unanswered messages from his father, Tom sits before the camera one last time. His voice is calm, but heavy with finality. He tells his father that he's letting him go. Cooper shakes his head, silently pleading with the screen, his eyes begging for just one more moment, one more chance to bridge the years lost. And then, with a weary breath, Tom says goodbye. The feed cuts to black. Silence presses down on the room like weight. Cooper stares, confused. Can this be it? Then, unexpectedly, the screen flickers back to life. A woman appears, older, composed, yet carrying a familiar spark in her eyes.
Hey, Dad.
She says. Cooper freezes because in that instant he knows it's Murph, all grown up. Her voice steady but edged with years of unspoken pain.
Hey, Murph.
Cooper replies softly, his voice crackling under the weight of time. Her eyes narrow, and she lets out an angry surface.
You son of a bitch.
She tells him why she never sent messages before, why the silence between them had grown into chasm. And then she says,
Today's my birthday.
but it's not just any birthday. This is a special one. She reminds him that he once promised that they'd be the same age when he returned. That was the deal. That was the hope she held on to as a child. Now, she's at that age that he left, and he's still not there. Cooper's composure fractures. He doesn't speak. He can't. He just stares into the screen as tears fall down his face. Murph ends the message with a plea that it'd be a really good time that you'd come back. Those words land like a tidal wave, drowning a man who braved wormholes and black holes for his family. The camera lingers onto Cooper's face, shattered, hollow, and broken, as tears flow freely. This moment perfectly captures the heartache of the mission. Saving humanity comes at the cost of losing the very people you're trying to save. After that harrowing experience on Miller's planet, the Endurance crew faces dwindling fuel and limited options. Their next stop is Mann's planet, named after Dr. Mann, a renowned scientist and another one of the original astronauts sent through the wormhole to explore potential new homes for humanity. Cooper, Bran, Romilly, and the robots hope Mann's planet will be the breakthrough that they need. Upon landing, they locate Dr. Mann in cryosleep, preserved for decades in isolation. When they wake him, Dr. Mann cries tears of relief. He greets them with a chilling line, "Pray you never learn just how good it can be to see another face." Those words hang heavy, hinting at the loneliness and desperation man has endured, but also foreshadowing deeper darkness. Bran asks Mann to describe the conditions on his planet he's been. Dr. Mann's voice is calm, but carries a strange urgency as he paints a picture of a frozen, hospitable world. He claims that it has breathable air, a benign climate, and a surface condition suitable for human life. In his transmission, he painted it as a potential safe haven for humanity, free from the harsh extremes other candidates' planets faced. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Murph is deep in her research. She pores over Dr. Brand's work on gravity, but she digs deeper and begins to see the cracks in his theories. The math doesn't add up. There's a fatal flaw on the data. She proclaims this to Dr. Mann, but he just turns and leaves. On his deathbed, Dr. Brand reveals the truth to Murph, that there was never a real Plan A. The plan to solve gravity and evacuate the people on Earth was always a lie. The people on Earth were never meant to be saved. Those words hit Murph like a freight train, knocking the air out of her lungs. A sight of grim truth flashes across her eyes as he gazes to Dr. Brand, her voice trembling with anger and disbelief. She demanded, her tone sharp enough to cut through the sterile air. Brand's weary gaze met hers, the weight of years of secrecy pressing down on him. A faint, regretful smile tugged at his lips before he exhaled his final labored breath. And then, silence. Murph took a shaky breath and sent a message to her dad on the Endurance. Case's sensors detected an incoming transmission. He watches the video transmission before sending it. He relays it instantly to Tars, who's on Dr. Mann's icy planet. Tars' visual sensors flicker as Murph's face appears, framed by her tear-streaked determination. Murph tells Dr. Brand that her father passed away. Murph looked directly into the camera, whispering with the weight of only a human could carry. She begins to talk to her dad, asking him that if he knew about Plan A being a lie, and that he left her there on Earth to die. Those words hit him hard. Dr. Mann then admits to Cooper that Dr. Brand actually solved the gravity equation years before leaving Earth. But the only way to retrieve the quantum data needed to complete the theory was to get it from inside a black hole itself, a journey no one has ever attempted. Faced with the impossible, Dr. Brand abandoned Plan A and lied to everyone about it. This deepened the moral complexity of the story. The film continues its parallel storytelling, cutting between Murph on Earth and Cooper's perilous mission in space. Murph, now convinced that the only solution to the gravity equation lies within her childhood home, the same room where her father once discovered the strange dust patterns, returns there in search of answers. Meanwhile, on Mann's icy planet, Dr. Mann takes Cooper on a supposed tour of the landscape, while Romilly and Tars remain on the ship, attempting to decode the data from Mann's robot, Kip. Case arrives to assist Dr. Brand with unloading equipment, but then the truth reveals itself. As Cooper and Mann stand on a frozen cliff, gazing at the bleak wasteland, Mann turns on him. He confesses that the planet is uninhabitable, his data falsified out of desperation. In this ensuing struggle, Cooper's helmet cracks, leaking oxygen and letting in the toxic ammonia-rich air. Gasping for survival, Cooper calls out to Dr. Brand, who rushes back with Case to save him. At the same time, Romilly uncovers the truth hidden within Kip's system, but it is a trap. Kip detonates, killing Romilly in an instant. Only Tars manages to escape the blast. Dr. Brand reaches Cooper in time, rescuing him from certain death, and together they recover Tars before racing back to the Endurance. Dr. Mann, desperate and unhinged, seizes a lander and makes a reckless attempt to dock with the Endurance himself. Dr. Mann, desperate and unraveling, docks clumsily with the Endurance. He ignores all the safety protocols as he attempts to override the ship's system. Over the radio, Cooper and Brand plead with him to stop, warning him that the docking isn't sealed properly. But Dr. Mann, blinded by his desperation to survive and escape the frozen wasteland he lured them into, continues. As Dr. Mann attempts to dock his craft with the Endurance, the tension on board was thick. The crew warned him repeatedly about the risk rushing the sequence, but his desperation clouded his judgment. His craft lashed onto the airlock, but not properly. The seal failed. In an instant, the silence of space was shattered by the violence of physics. The interior of the Endurance was pressurized with breathable air, while the void outside was with an unforgiving vacuum. The moment the frail boundary broke, the air inside the Endurance exploded outwards, trying to equalize with the nothingness beyond. The pressure difference was catastrophic. air ripped through the airlock with the force of a bomb, tearing apart the hatch and the surrounding structure. Dr. Mann was engulfed in the blast. Panels shattered, debris spun into the void, and the shockwave ripped through his craft. The decomposition killed Dr. Mann instantly and sent the Endurance into a deadly spin. In this moment of chaos and stunning visuals, the explosion tears through space, debris fly, the Endurance is spinning out of control, but here comes one of the most breathtaking moments in the film. Cooper takes manual control of the lander and performs an impossible feat, a perfectly synchronized docking maneuver with a spinning Endurance. This scene, paired with Hans Zimmer's swelling score, is pure cinematic magic. It is a moment of triumph snatched from the jaws of disaster, showcasing Cooper's unmatched skill and determination. But even as they stabilize the ship, the damage is done, both physically and emotionally. The crew has lost Romilly, their fuel reserve is nearly empty, and Plan A has officially collapsed. Murph, back on Earth, races against time. She realizes that the only way to solve the gravity equation is to obtain quantum data from the black hole, something Cooper and Brand now understand as well. Millions of miles away, their mission is dwindling to a single hope, one lost planet, one last chance for survival. But their ship is too heavy, the fuel too thin, and Gargantua's pull too strong. The odds are merciless. Cooper studies the figures, his mind racing. There's only one way to ensure someone makes it. He looks at Bran, driven, brilliant, and holding the seed of humanity's future. She can still make it to Edmund's planet. He knows his family back on Earth, his daughter Murph, is still fighting for a miracle. If he sacrifices himself, detaching from the module during the slingshot, he'll give Bran the thrust she needs to break free. As the Endurance swings close to Gargantua, the engine roars and the hull screams under the force of gravity. At this critical moment, Cooper jettons his lander. His craft spirals towards the black hole's event horizon. Time stretches, light bends, and the stars smear into the rings of fire. He falls, not with fear, but with purpose, knowing by surrendering himself, he's given the last hope for survival to someone else. It's a sacrifice. Not for Plan B, not for humanity, but for his daughter. He is falling into Gargantua, the massive spinning black hole that has loomed over their journey since the beginning. The screen shifts, the music fades into an eerie stillness as Cooper drops into the blackness. His ship begins to break apart under the tense gravitational force. But what follows isn't death. It's transcendence. Instead of being crushed, Cooper finds himself inside a space that doesn't obey the laws of our dimension. He's floating in a vast glowing lattice of light and shadow, the Tesseract. Time here isn't linear, it's physical, visible, accessible. He's inside the moment of Murph's bedroom, seeing thousands of versions of the same scene stacked like shelves in a cosmic library. He realizes that this is the ghost Murph believes in. It was never supernatural. It was him, a father reaching back through time to communicate with his daughter. The gravitational anomalies, the dust patterns, the watch, they were all him trying to send a message. Using gravity, because this is the only force that can travel across dimensions, he begins to interact with the objects in her room. He knocks the bookshelf, he manipulates the dust, he encodes the quantum data gathered by the robot TARS inside the black hole into the second hand of her old wristwatch. Murph is at a breaking point, but when she sees the watch ticking in a strange rhythm, she understands. Her father is speaking to her through time, through gravity, through love. She uses the information to complete the equation. Plan A becomes possible. Humanity lifts off from Earth. The Tesseract in Interstellar is a four-dimensional construct created by highly evolved humans from the future. It is designed to allow Cooper to perceive and interact with time as a physical dimension. It manifests as an infinite, lattice-like version of Murph's bedroom because that space represents the most important point of connection between past, present, and future. The bond between father and daughter being the key to humanity's survival. Within this structure, every moment in that room's past, present, and future exist simultaneously like pages in an endless book. Gravity, the one force capable of transcending dimensions, becomes Cooper's tool to send messages across time, knocking down books from shelves, forming dust patterns that spell stay, and ultimately transmitting the vital quantum data through Morse code via Murph's watch. The Tesseract exists because these future beings could not interfere with lower dimensions directly, so they created a bridge for him. Cooper's purpose was never meant to change the past, but to ensure the future by empowering Murph to solve the gravity equation and save the species. In doing so, what seems like a mission failure, falling into a black hole, becomes the very act that secures humanity's survival. And then, just as mysteriously as he arrived, the Tesseract collapses. The higher dimensional beings no longer need him there. His mission is complete. Cooper loses consciousness. He emerges near Saturn, where the remnants of humanity's efforts orbit. Rescue teams from the station detect his faint life signals and bring him aboard. The wormhole acts like a tunnel, placing him exactly where he needs to be. Cooper awakens in a sterile, soft-lit hospital room with Saturn rings visibly outside the window, a stark contrast to the chaos he survived. As he regains his bearings, the crew explains where he is. His eyes widens in disbelief when he learns the name Cooper Station, named after his daughter Murph, in honor of the work that saved humanity. Time has passed differently here. Decades have slipped by, and the world he knew on Earth is gone. He looks out the window, realizing that while he survived the black hole, the life he once knew has moved on. The station is a symbol of what Murph achieved and the legacy he helped create, but it underscores the distance between him and the family he left behind. As the story reaches its final act, everything comes full circle, yet in the most unexpected ways. Cooper walks heading into Murph's ward. A nurse meets him along the way and tells him that the family is here as well. Cooper freezes for a moment, surprised to hear that Murph has a family of her own. As he opens the door and steps inside, he sees a group of people gathered around her bed. They glance at him but step back, giving him space. Murph's eyes meet his, and she bursts into tears. Cooper, stunned, takes in how much time has passed, how old Murph has become. She reaches out trembling as she tries to hold his hand. Cooper sits beside her, gently rubbing her shoulder, tears welling in his own eyes. The sound soft and bittersweet. "It's me, Murph," he whispers. Through her tears, Murph lifts her wrist, still wearing her father's watch. "I knew it was always you," she says. "People didn't believe it, but I always knew you'd come back." Cooper simply asks how could she have known. She simply replies, "My dad promised me he would." They share a moment of closure, full of love and understanding. Cooper reassures her, "I'm here now." Murph gently replies, "No parent should watch their child die." She says this in a soft but firm voice. Murph tells Cooper, sending him on his next mission, she says, "Go get Bran." As Cooper stands to leave, he glances back at Murph, surrounded by her family, smiling through her tears. Her voice begins to narrate over the scene, soft and reflective. The film cuts to Edmund's planet. Brand and Case search the rocky desert, discovering Edmund's ship, crushed and partially buried in the rubble. Case digs him out carefully while the camera lingers on Brand's crushed heart, grief in her eyes. Back at the station, Cooper and Tars board a spacecraft setting off to join Bran. Bran buries Edmund properly and returns to her ship, preparing for cryosleep. Murph's voice continued to narrate the ending, full of hope, telling us about Bran being in a distant world, alone, awaiting to be rescued. Cooper, smiling faintly, looks ahead as he journeys once more into the distance, into the enchanted expanse of space. And the movie ends. Interstellar isn't just a movie, it is an emotional experience for me. One that wraps the human heart into the vastness of space, science, and time. It is rare for a film to balance the grand scale astrophysics with deep personal stakes so well, but Interstellar does it masterfully. At its core, it is about love, a force that transcends time, space, dimension, and even logic. And somehow Nolan made that poetic truth feel scientifically possible. What makes this film so beloved is how it speaks to something universal. The fear of losing time, the hope of reuniting with loved ones, and the deep yearning of finding purpose beyond our tiny existence. Whether it's the breathtaking visual, Hans Zimmer's heart-wrenching score, or Matthew McConaughey's vulnerable performance, every moment is laid with meaning. And with each rewatch, the film reveals something new, a line you missed, a scientific detail you now understand, an emotional beat that hits you harder as you grow older. This movie sticks with you. It lives in your mind long after the credits have rolled, and it inspires you to look up at the stars and maybe, just maybe, believe we are capable of something greater. Hit the like button so that more people can discover this video. Subscribe if you want deep dives into films that move us, that make us think. And of course, share this with somebody who needs to watch Interstellar now. Drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know if you've watched this film, or are you now inspired to do so? Until next time.